Hello, and welcome to another edition of I Think I Hate Movies, the podcast. John, Star Wars, Star Wars. And I'm here with my co host, Star Wars. Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Hello.
Star Wars. What's up, Ray?
Not much. Watched a cool thing.
You been going on any space adventures lately?
Not really. It's too expensive these days.
Yeah, it is. It's getting crazy. The Republic's got a real grip on, a real monopoly on that. So anyway, welcome to the podcast. As you might have guessed, I got Star Wars on the mind. So The Force Awakens came out just recently, so picked that up. We watched that again, and that was an interesting look. Second time through, I would say it's interesting from the perspective that like a lot of the imagery and cinematography were very emblematic of old Star Wars, and it's kind of burned into me a little bit, even though I've only seen it once prior to the home release. I just remember like every beat in that movie from the first time, so that was interesting. It's a good movie, good Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that rank for you in the pantheon of Star Wars movies?
Fourth.
Fourth? Wow. Huh.
Maybe fifth.
What do you mean?
It's fine.
It's fine. Alright.
I'll care about it more when there are sequels.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's it's an origin story, it's a genesis of an adventure, and these characters are introduced to us, a lot of them. So it's kind of where they go from here that will be the interesting part.
Which is the very interesting part based on what we saw
Yeah,
a couple of days ago.
and I'm really excited for Rian Johnson's Star Wars movie. But before that, there's going to be a Star Wars side story.
That's not a Star Wars we've seen before.
Yeah. So Disney released a trailer for Rogue One, an expanded kind of universe story, or a side bit. I would say this is more. I mean, this is in line with the original 3 movies.
Yeah.
So it's kind of. I don't want to call it a prequel because there's a kind of like pejorative
what are you
connotation.
talking about? Are you talking about?
It happens before.
It's a prelude.
Okay, that's perfect. It's a prologue to A New Hope. So this is this trailer dropped, and it's been pretty positive for the most part. A lot of people excited. I saw some comments to the effect of, well, it kind of looks like a fan film, which I don't agree with.
Like a actually fan-made film?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. As far as I was kind of, what I got from that was the look of the film, as far as maybe production value. People were saying, oh, this looks like a fan film. This looks cheap.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. People are fucking crazy.
I guess there were no wide shots that they showed in the trailer, like in the Abrams one where you see all the stormtroopers and that aren't like all lined up in their little.
Yeah, it wasn't as grandiose.
Yeah, but
that's not what they're going for.
Right, there were so many more props and stuff, and yeah.
So what they're going for is a more intimate story. This follows a new heroine, Jen Erso, and she is kind of a rogue agent working for the rebels, and she's trying to, or they want her to get the Death Star plans for the first Death Star. So that's interesting, actually, as a narrative element. So we already know how this ends, in a way, in a broad sense, right? We know they get the Death Star plans, obviously.
Right, but we don't know what happened to them.
So that
They
movie,
aren't in the next.
right? So
Or are they?
yeah, because she's kind of in a ragtag group of like Donnie Yen's there. He plays some kind of mystic.
He looks
Or
like he was
martial
training
artist.
stormtroopers.
No, he could be. He's beating them up though.
Yeah, but he was telling them how to like prevent his attacks.
No, he wasn't saying it. Donnie Yen doesn't say anything in the trailer.
There was like a narration over his part that you assume is him speaking.
No, Forrest Whitaker is speaking.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's his voiceover. But Forrest Whitaker is also featured. He seems to be maybe a stormtrooper or some kind of
Cyborg. I'm rooting for
cyborg.
Cyborg.
Yeah, maybe.
He looks really
possibly.
gizmoed out.
Yeah. There's a droid.
Really tall droid
Yeah.
that runs really well for a droid.
Yeah. So he's not a protocol unit. And then this isn't in the trailer, but Mads Mikkelsen is
Suspicious!
billed. So yeah, everybody's speculating about who he's gonna play. Probably a villain. I'm gonna go ahead and say he's probably
I
gonna be a
really
villain.
want him to be the droid. I don't think I've ever seen him in a voice acting role, and I think it would be really cool. But I know
It would be cool. You're stretching there.
Yeah, I doubt he is, but I think it would have been cool if he was.
Yeah.
I would love to see Mads Mikkelsen pull off like a C-3PO character.
His voice doesn't lend well to just being a voice. He needs he has a presence.
He's
He
a
has
very talented actor. He could
Yeah.
do it.
But he has a very visual presence about
He does.
him. So most of all, mostly people, tentatively excited about this. But unfortunately, of course, the internet being the internet, I gotta crack open a beer for this one. All right, so to get into this, let's just get into this. So, hours. This trailer was out for hours. This trailer, well, yeah,
It's probably less than that.
it was probably less than that. And the first build comments on YouTube were sexist and just the vitriol in the language. And it mostly, I would say it mostly, to generalize, or to kind of sum up the statements that were being made, was basically, get your woman or women out of my Star Wars. This is my thing. You're ruining my childhood. Why does Star Wars and Disney have to kind of push their agenda, their social justice agenda, in sneer quotes? Star Wars isn't for girls. Why are we getting 2 Star Wars movies with female leads? This is bullshit. Blah 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 blah. So overwhelmingly, these were kind of the cream that was floating to the top of the YouTube comments, and I don't really read YouTube comments unless they're on our videos, in which case I read them. But yeah, this is a little disheartening.
It was. I don't know how YouTube stacks their comments though, because I think it could also be by the comments to those comments. So hopefully that was it.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it either. It's probably an algorithm.
Most reactionary comments.
Most replies or something, or likes or whatever, thumbs up, thumb down. Either way, this was the first thing I saw, like I said, hours after this trailer was out. And this is more emblematic of a problem that's kind of bigger than Star Wars. Star Wars is pretty big.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. People like Star Wars. They care about their Star Wars. They feel, like I said, I'm generalizing too, but a lot of these commenters, though, feel as though they have some ownership over this series, which I find very strange. because Star Wars is so big.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. I get that weird tribalism that people get. I don't necessarily agree with it, even as someone who did grow up with Star Wars. I grew up with, those were like some of the first movies I ever saw as a child, and I do feel this like weird connection with Star Wars that is like kind of inexplicable. But it's like love. It's a love, but I don't feel like any ownership over it. I don't feel that.
Mm-hmm.
So these people, I mean, I guess that's what it is, right?
I think it's a mixture of that and that Star Wars was probably something that was easily catered to them. They were never, like, someone that they related to was never a side character.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, this is weird. It feels like it's pushing them out of their Star Wars. So that is an ownership thing too, but it's also like a representation thing.
Mm. It is a representation thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm Asian American, and there are two Asians in The Force Awakens, and the first time I saw it, I can't remember the rebel or the resistance guy.
3, but only one has a speaking role.
Yeah, well, there two of them have speaking roles.
Oh, two?
But yeah, the general or resistance officer, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Shame on me, but he was in The Force Awakens, and then Jess is a pilot, an X-wing pilot, and she's featured in The Force Awakens as well. But like I said, being an Asian American and seeing representation, I was really excited. That meant a lot to me, as someone who really is invested in these movies and these stories. So, for instance, women who have had little representation in Star Wars and a lot of other media in general, to have 2 feature Star Wars films with female leads, I think is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I love Rey. I love Rey. I love Rey.
You love the Rays.
I love the Rays. Yeah, I really like Rey as a character. I think they have built a great foundation in which to build her and tell her story. And she's very central to the Star Wars, the new Star Wars stories that are happening. And then Jen in this Rogue One movie, she seems to be playing a major role. And here's the other thing too, is yes, it's a teaser, it's like 2 minutes long. You're not going to find out everything you need to know about this movie. She does seem to play a central role, because she is kind of introduced in the first voiceover by Mon Mothma. But it appears she's going to be with a team.
Right.
She's got a droid buddy, she's got her Forrest Whitaker buddy, Donnie Yen seems to be like he's going to be a part of this team. So she's surrounded by men. So yes, the central figure is a woman, but hey guys that are fucking mad out there that your quote unquote Star Wars is getting taken away. There's still men in this movie. There are still men playing central roles that I would assume are fairly important to the plot or whatever. But it's just so irrational to get mad at this whole thing. And I don't like the language that, like, oh, Disney's pushing their agenda.
It's JW.
Yeah, their social justice agenda. And it's like, what do you think you're doing? You're pushing your agenda. Your agenda is, I want all my movies to be machismo, male central characters it's men. I want my dudes. I want my Han Solos and my Luke Skywalkers. It's like, you have that. You have 6 movies of that. I don't know. As a woman, do you have anything?
Not that you didn't cover, yeah.
Like, I'm not that ignorant guy either. That's gonna be, that's like, well, this will go away one day. Hopefully, this will just go away. These people will go away because that's
It's not going to.
not gonna happen. But if you want to critique a movie, and if you want to have a conversation about something like this, if you have valid points that you want to bring to the table, fine. I will listen. I'm here to listen. I will have a conversation
No.
with people.
They're gonna get emails of that stupid study that says even women can't stand women talking in movies. Oh no, what have you done?
I've never heard of that study, and fuck you for bringing that study up. Now it's in my mind. Now I know that exists. Gross. That is gross. But no. But no, if you want to have a conversation, I'm here to listen. Because I can have that conversation. I can have a conversation. But when you're screaming into the cesspool, the void of the internet, it just becomes this, like, echo chamber. And everyone is just screaming at the top of their lungs, and it's just, it's hyperbolic, and I don't know, there's no room for that in my Star Wars. Like, you're mad about a woman in Star Wars for the central character? Like, you realize it's Star Wars, right? The movies that are filled with robots and aliens and teddy bears and guys that fell into a volcano and somehow survived and now live in a robot suit, and there's an old man that can shoot lightning out of his fingers, and people have sword fights with laser swords, and you have a problem with a woman.
They don't have to use their imagination to put their own character in the movie before. Why do they have to do it now?
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's a projection thing, right?
Right.
And it's a power fantasy. Like, I absolutely, as a kid, was the one having those power fantasies that I'm Han Solo or I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm the hero. And it's like, what did little girls have to project onto?
I guess this is how I became so creative as a person.
You were forced to? Because you had nothing
use
else?
the Force, man.
The Force, exactly. Thought experiment. I'm going to name 10 men from Star Wars, and you're going to name 10 women from Star Wars.
We've done this before. I know it's
Ready?
impossible.
Go! Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, Boba Fett, Chewbacca, R2-D2.
How do you know Chewbacca's a boy?
Okay, take Chewbacca out. C-3PO, Jawas, the Sarlacc pit.
You can't prove that Jawas are all men.
Actually, the Sarlacc pit is probably explicitly a woman.
Female.
Yeah. Jabba the Hutt, Bib Fortuna,
Fortuna.
Walrus Man.
Who's Bib Fortuna?
He was the guy with the long tentacle.
The guy who looks like a
Jabba's-
Twi'lek?
Jabba's pal, yeah.
Is he a Twi'lek?
I don't know. Probably. He's got sharp teeth. I don't know. Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn. Oh god, what am I doing? Anyway, that's 10. Ready? Your turn. Go!
I give up. White flag.
Exactly. So I guess the point is, Star Wars isn't for any one specific group. It's for everybody. And it is now, especially because Disney owns it, so even more than before, it's for everybody. Ewoks?
Ewoks. There are Lady Ewoks.
There's a bunch of Lady Ewoks.
I don't know their names, but they're there. Why am I trying to win this? It's
I don't
impossible.
know. It is impossible. So, did we watch, we watched movies that weren't Star Wars, right?
We did. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
So, for our first film this week, we saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which was directed by Tim Burton and possibly his first feature-length film, I believe,
Possibly.
in 1985.
Sure.
And yeah, this was your pick. Why did you pick it?
Yeah, this was a listener suggested a formula in which we pick movies, so we tried it out. We were to pick a movie that one of us was fond of and the other wasn't,
Right.
and vice versa. Both of us. So that's what we did. I have fond memories of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I don't remember exactly the first time I saw it. But it was in that era of Batman and Beetlejuice, kind of. So Burton was kind of going through, I guess, Edward Scissorhands to some extent. But Burton was kind of doing his style of humor, and I think he was still. I think he was still feeling out his visual style at that point, especially Pee-wee. Well, Pee-wee's based on Pee-wee's Playhouse, the show, so he obviously has kind of a palette already as far as, set design and costumes and kind of the overall world that Pee-wee inhabits. But I really think, yeah, that Burton kind of had his hand in this more. He put his flair on it. So what do you think of Pee-wee's Big Adventure? Because you saw it, you said prior to this, but
When I was really young, yeah, and
Really
I didn't
young.
enjoy it very much. In fact, the only parts I remembered were the parts where it got weird. Like, I remember Mama Murphy, is that her name?
Mama Murphy.
Mama
Different
Murphy's from
Murphy.
Fallout.
Mama Murphy's
Big
yeah,
Marge?
yeah.
What was her name? Big
Yeah,
Marge?
Large Marge.
Large Marge.
Large Marge.
Yeah. Mama Murphy. Perfect.
Yeah. She just needs Jet. Give her Jet, guys. Come on.
That was Mama Murphy in the early phase, when she's still on Jet. She
Yeah.
doesn't need it anymore.
She doesn't need it anymore. She's a monster face.
And I remember the cartoon part where it got to, well, it wasn't really a cartoon, but it was animated, the scene where it goes all black. And other scenes similar to that.
So kind of bits and pieces?
Yeah, I remember the pet store, the stuff that would appeal to a little kid, so I was clearly really little when I saw this. And I just didn't like it because my parents liked it so much and I couldn't understand, and they kept making me watch it because they kept insisting I thought it was funny when I didn't. I was just like, why are you making me watch this again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still funny, in my opinion, to this day. I think it actually gets funnier because the humor is drier now, in a sense. It's like, I wouldn't say deadpan, but a lot of them are kind of very, dad jokes almost. And gags, and visual gags. And, I don't know, in the context of Pee-wee's world, I think it's still kind of funny. It still holds up.
I didn't think it was... I'm not as bitter towards it, I should say, but I didn't find it terribly funny, still.
No?
No. It was interesting in style and stuff.
I mean, humor is super hard to do.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's also super subjective, too, and it's just not my sort of humor.
It is I would say, it's the most subjective kind of thematic thing in a movie, right?
Yeah.
Visuals and sound and cinematography and all these other aspects are kind of, there is maybe a bar for a lot of those things, or a standard at least, or a gold standard. But yeah, humor is obviously so subjective, and it's so hard to do humor because who are you writing for, right? Who's your audience? That's the thing. It's who's the audience for this movie? Who do you think the audience would be?
Mm-hmm. Are you asking me?
Yeah,
I
for
don't
Pee-wee.
really know. To me, I don't know. Yeah.
Is it just Tim Burton, do you think?
No.
He's making a movie just for him?
No.
Yeah.
Because I think his later movies were more just for him, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And to a point, and then it became just for Tim Burton fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say, because my parents really liked it, which is odd.
Mm-hmm.
My parents aren't.
Well, like I said, there's kind of a lot of quote-unquote dad jokes in there. And they're very, it starts off, he's doing the...
I know you are, but what am I?
Right, and it's very, he's very childish. He's a child, basically.
I feel like it's for people who like things like Little Rascals.
Okay.
That's what it comes across like.
I think this film is better and works better now, for me at least. Because I watched it now looking through a different lens. I watched it through Pee-wee is in our world, yet Pee-wee remains Pee-wee inherently from like the show, and he's kind of in his own world. And it's kind of thinking of it like that. It's kind of perverse and it's kind of demented because he is an inherently kind of demented character, especially once you put him in the context of a real world, which I think is
So
interesting.
is that something the show never did? Was you were just inside his house the whole
Not
time?
really. It was like a Saturday morning cartoonish kind of feel to it, but same style of humor. But this bringing it, opening the scale and making it grander, and having him interact with. I mean, they're goofy caricatures of people, but just thinking it in that context, I think it's kind of there's a subversive layer of like darkness there, where he is so demented. Like he's just like, think of it as he's like emotionally stunted, an emotionally stunted man who's like perpetually, a child, and all he cares about is his bike. Like, think about a guy in the real world. If you met that guy's kind of fucked up, right?
He wouldn't make it as far as Pee-wee did. So if it worked out somehow like Pee-wee worked out, I think it'd be fine.
But you're right. He wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
A real guy like that, Pee-wee obviously is a victim to a lot of circumstance and I don't know. Yeah. He's just kind of falling into his adventures here.
Yeah.
He's kind of stumbling along. I don't know. I think maybe anecdotally, like people think there is like a darker side to Pee-wee, which there might be, and we can psychoanalyze it or whatever. But I just think on the surface level, that character in the real world that's kind of funny. But maybe not so much anymore. I don't know. I don't know.
It has the feel of like a comic strip. It's something you would like go back to for little bits, but full-length feature seems weird.
Yeah. It worked in the end. And the weird, how it got kind of meta and weird at the end. I like that. So.
That's probably the best bit.
Yeah. And tequila.
That was the part I remembered. I remember the end and I remember the tequila
Everybody
dance.
remembers the dance. Because it's important. It's a good dance. Remember when I did that dance? And you were like, I don't want to know you anymore.
I don't remember this.
Okay. It's because I gave you a bunch of that tequila.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess I think Pee-wee holds up. It's not
I
something
think I just figured out why my parents find that movie so funny to make me watch. Now I'm deeply, deeply disturbed.
Now it's even more dark.
It just got really dark.
It just got really dark. Alright. So keeping with the theme, we watched another Tim Burton movie. This was your suggestion.
Yes, I suggested Sleepy Hollow.
And I've never seen this version of Sleepy Hollow.
I didn't realize that, and I assumed it falled into the into the Johnny Depp category of movies you wouldn't like. I don't know. What did you think of Sleepy Hollow?
I kind of liked it.
Doggone it! Sorry, Kate.
Oh, that's right. We'll fix this. Okay. This movie has a lot of elements that I like.
Me too.
So it's got Johnny Depp playing a weird character, which I know that's not something new. He does it all the time. It's got conspiracies. It's got gothic horror. It's got beheading. It's got guts.
Ketchup.
It's got blood. It's got violence. It's got, the overall look of the movie I really like. The whole thing is shot in like this tiny sound studio with these beautiful matte paintings. It
Really
looks like
cool framing for cinematography. I liked a lot of the framing in that movie. It's like, that could be a wallpaper.
Yeah, and it's kind of pulpy. It's kind of like almost villain of the week, Saturday morning cartoon vibe. So there's all these elements that I like. When you put them together, I don't know if it always works. I don't think the script's very good. The script's actually terrible, but like I said, it's pulpy. It's kind of supposed to be. And the pacing gets the movie drags. But other than that, I thought it was all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really wondering if if there's. Okay, so this is definitely something that Tim Burton wanted to make.
Yeah.
Like this is very him, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very emblematic of his like flavor and his style and the stuff that he likes. But I also get the sense it's weird. It's like at the same time I get this like Gremlins 2 sense where he doesn't want to do this.
Really?
Yeah, just like.
Which point?
I mean, the one that I can think of right away is like the shots towards the end of the movie. Johnny Depp's hair changes like 8 times within the course of like a minute. His wig, specifically. And it's like someone who was shooting this would either say something or change it or fix it. Maybe Tim
Burton doesn't notice hair. Have you seen his hair? No.
Yeah, that's true. He's got the Edward Scissorhands look going still. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things where he was doing it on purpose, or he didn't care, and he just said, "Whatever, fuck it, put it in. This is my big dumb horror movie." I don't know.
I feel like he does like that. I think he likes doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen interviews with him where he obsesses over things that are like, where it's like goofs in the thing. That's like the thing he loves about it. Like Dark Shadows, he always goes on and on about the scene with the fly. There's like a fly flying around on the set, and it's like his favorite part of that whole series is looking for this fly.
You know what? You're probably right, because he did Ed Wood.
Yeah, exactly.
So he kind of has an affinity for like a very grassroots style of filmmaking.
And then like the romance scenes in this movie kind of have that vibe where they're just like really stiff and they're like bad acting, and then they'll go on to something where they're acting a bit more serious, and it's like it feels like it's purposefully bad acting in those scenes, like a weird 40s romance scene where they're just delivering their lines and looking at each other.
Yeah.
Intensely.
This is Plan B in New York. Yeah, like to your point, the romance scenes felt like 2 5th graders on the playground and trying to exchange notes. Do you like me? Yes or no? Circle. And like kind of standing bashfully. And I don't know. Don't look at each other now. Yeah, they had that kind of vibe. This movie was subversively funny.
Yes, that's what I love about it.
It's really funny, and it's a mix of intentional goofs that are written in there, and then just stuff that, a guy gets his head chopped off, and it's real funny. Just the way it's shot, the way the dummy is flopping around or something, and the way the physics on the head flying through the air. It's really funny. And I think that was intentional. And I can appreciate that. I actually like that. It's very in line with Burton's sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to... Oh, yeah, the part where the guy does get his head chopped off, and Johnny Depp... I guess we didn't even say, this is Sleepy Hollow, I guess, based on the novel, basically. So it follows Ichabod Crane investigating murders in Sleepy Hollow, blah, 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 Headless Horseman, right? You know the story. Everybody knows the
Washington
story.
Irving.
Right. So, but this guy, gets his head chopped off, and Ichabod Crane is sitting with his legs wide open, and the head rolls down the hill right... And
mouth open,
lands right between his legs, and then the Headless Horseman comes and shivs it up like a shish kebab and rides away with it. And it's like, that's a really dumb scene. And why would you put that in your dark conspiracy murder movie other than you want your funny bits, your goofs.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I appreciate that.
And also the like Angela Lansbury version of Johnny Depp I like a lot. It's Murder She Wrote sort of character. I somehow love it.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch that show after school, so it was like pretty obvious when I first saw that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect.
Yeah. There are a lot of parts that I liked. It was a beautiful stage play that Burton put on with very elaborate effects. The practical effects and the makeup are pretty good in this movie.
There was CGI though that was kind of off, but I think it was experimentation. There was enough practical effects to water it down to make it look good.
Like the horse, you're talking about like the horse coming out of the tree,
and then the witch. It seemed like it was after watching Pee-wee and then watching this, it seems like that witch scene is actually an allusion to Large Marge.
Yeah. The jump scare.
Yeah, because they did it the same. It was like essentially the same sort of look they were going for, but it was done with CGI as opposed to claymation.
Trying to remember what her face. Oh, where she's just got
shoots out eyeballs and a tongue.
But then
she's got just flex back.
Yeah, and she's got dead eyes and a big mouth, kind of like it almost looked like the Scream mask or something.
Yeah, it's just like a skull with their skin cracked over it.
Yeah. No, that looked pretty good. I like the production on this. Yeah, those sets were that's a weird thing. It's like it seemed like he filmed some things on location, but then when he's having these character moments, they're on these sets like a play or something, like a stage production.
Like an old horror movie.
The fog, you can tell some guys doing the fog machine and blowing it in there, and that looked really good. So out of the two, actually, I think I don't know.
I like the soundtrack in Sleepy Hollow too. I mean, it's Danny Elfman as usual, but I just love the music in Sleepy Hollow especially. It takes me on a whole. There's like moments where it starts sounding like Night on Bald Mountain, and I'm just like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, but the Pee-wee soundtrack.
Pee-wee sounds like Christmas music.
No. There's Danny Elfman on uppers. It's great.
I like him on downers.
Yeah. Danny Elfman's good all around. Yeah. Is good? Was good? Is he still alive?
I hope so. Actually, but now that you mention it, the last time I saw him, he did not look well.
Yeah, we're watching the special features on Star Wars, and John Williams is like 85 now, and he's looking.
Well, Danny Elfman isn't that high up there.
Well, no, I'm just saying composers.
Yeah.
Older composers. Yeah, credit to composers, man. The music departments and music in general, I don't think gets enough credit. They get kind of short shrift a lot of the times, but that really helps with the atmosphere and building tension and rising and falling action and all that stuff. Star Wars, Danny Elfman movies, and generally speaking, you can always pick out both those composers. It's like Hans Zimmer. I can always pick out Hans Zimmer.
I was gonna say, you can forget Hans. It's pretty easy too.
I can always pick out John Williams, and I can always pick out Danny Elfman. That's weird. Something.
They have a flavor.
Yeah.
Very distinct.
And they favor certain instrumentations, instrument groups, stuff like that. So, except for that new Hans Zimmer and Superman.
Well, that's what made him quit.
Batman.
It
Oh
broke
yeah,
him.
that's right. He quit. He's not doing any more. Well, he's not doing any more comic.
Superhero. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how to do this.
Fuck! I'm talking about Batman vs Superman.
Don't say his name. Just go back.
Okay.
Backtrack.
All right, we're gonna cut this. So.
It got really loud. Sorry.
It did get really loud. Fix it in post. So yeah, we watched some Burton movies, and they weren't bad. And I don't know, maybe we don't have to watch bad movies all the time on this podcast. Maybe
We can still think we hate movies.
I mean, yeah, I still think I hate movies. And the internet definitely hates movies. They hate anything that's a movie that has diversity and representation and women and blah blah blah. So, yeah, those people need to sit down. Anyway, it's like I don't want to go back to this. Just a quick aside. I can appreciate that the internet exists and there's a forum for everyone. Everyone gets a voice, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm usually, I'm not going to fly the free speech flag. It's like not, because that's a lot of the times what it boils down to, or what it devolves into, right? Is people waving the free speech flag, so they can spew hate speech.
Exactly.
And it's like that. Yes, there's a forum. You're given a forum. Like, can you appreciate that you have this opportunity and you can say whatever you want? So maybe, just maybe, can you be constructive and not venomous? I don't know. Anyway, I'm screaming at a wall. So that's that. So we will close this podcast unless you have any other salient points you'd like to make.
No.
We'll close this podcast with our first correspondence via e-letter from Anonymous. Anonymous writes in and says, pecan pie? Yes. Cheese pie? Sure. Life of pie? Nope. And life aquatic? Yep.
Oh, burn.
Oh, burn. So, if you haven't listened to our previous episode, those were all references to the prior episode, where we watched Life of Pi and Life Aquatic. So if you haven't, do that now. And I'm gonna have to agree with Anonymous here. Said Life of Pi, nope. Well, I guess it's a binary choice. So no, I'm gonna have to disagree with that one.
Is it Life of Pi with an E or Life of Pi like Life of Pi we just watched?
Life of Pi with P-I.
Oh.
Pi Patel. So. Hey, but you know what? That's fine.
Yeah. We do like your feedback.
Yeah, we do. That movie's not for everybody. Definitely not for everybody.
No.
Especially, depends on what kind of mindset you go into watching that movie. So, a couple years ago, I would have hated that movie, probably. I would be honest with you. But anyway, go listen to that podcast. We won't retread that. So thank you, Anonymous, for the correspondence. We really appreciate it. And if anybody else wants to send an email in, we are at ithinkIHateMovies@gmail.com. Send anything, don't send anything. That's what Tumblr's for, right? We have a Tumblr too. Yeah. Are Anonymous Asks on?
Yes.
Okay. So send your garbage through Tumblr. But if you have questions or suggestions or comments or corrections or whatever, you send it to the email and we'll read them. It's fun. So, I think that's going to do it.
I think so.
Okay, you guys, we will see you next week for another edition of this excellent podcast, Star Wars. So tune in, Star Wars. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. Star Wars. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars.